Hi guys, it's Houston immigration attorney Pegah Rahgozar. Welcome back for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom with Pegah. A little bit about the Rahgozar law firm. Our principal office is located in Houston, Texas, but we do take cases all across the U.S. and outside the U.S. advising on U.S. immigration laws. Our office phone number is 832-792-3636. And you can learn more about this topic as well as about other topics and more about me on our website at www.rahgozarlaw.com. Today's topic is about applying for a visitor visa to come to the U.S. But before I dive in, I'd like to inform you as usual that any information discussed in today's video is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. Because every case is different and immigration is a fact-intensive area of the law, it's best that you seek proper legal advice from an experienced immigration attorney before filing anything with immigration. A foreign individual who wishes to enter the U.S. must first obtain a visa, either a non-immigrant visa for temporary stay or an immigrant visa for more of a permanent residence. Visitor visas are non-immigrant visas for persons who want to enter the U.S. either temporarily for business under the B1 visa category or for tourism or medical purposes under the B2 visa category. You can also apply for a combination of both purposes for a B1 and B2. A B1 business tourist can enter the U.S. to do some of the following activities, such as consulting with business associates. They could attend scientific, educational, professional, or business conventions or conferences. They can settle in a state, or they could negotiate a contract. A B2 tourist can enter the U.S. to do some of the following activities. They can come here for tourism, for vacation or holiday, to visit a friend or relative. They could also be here to get medical treatment. Also, they're able to participate in social events hosted by fraternal, social, or service organizations. They can also participate in musical, sports, or similar events or contests as long as they're not being paid to participate. They could also enroll in short recreational courses of study that are not for credit towards a degree. So for example, a 2-day cooking class while they're here on vacation. A B1 or a B2 visitor visa does not allow the following. You cannot be here to study, you cannot gain employment or work, you cannot receive any paid for performances or professional performances before a paying audience, you cannot arrive as a crew member on a ship or an aircraft, you cannot work as foreign press in radio, film, print journalism, or other information media, and you cannot receive permanent residence in the U.S. You can under certain categories, but you're not here as a visitor to be here permanently. These activities that I listed do require different categories of visas, and they cannot be done on a visitor visa. When you apply for a visitor visa, you first fill out the Department of State DS-160 form online. You also upload a passport-style photograph to attach to your application, and you must pay the visa application fee of $160. After you've completed these steps, then you're ready to schedule an interview and you attend your interview. An interview is generally required for individuals between the ages of 14 to 79 years of age. Individuals younger than 13 years or older than 80 years are generally not required to be interviewed. Also, interview wait times depends on the consulate you're applying to, the visa category you're applying for, and if it's a busy season. But on average, you're looking to be interviewed anywhere from a few days to a few weeks after you filled out your complete application online. Something to note, each individual who wants to travel to the U.S. must fill out their own separate application, they must pay their own separate visa fee, and they must have a valid passport so that a visa can be issued in the passport. If you or someone you know needs help in applying for a tourist visa to come to the U.S., then please contact our office at 832-792-3636, make an appointment, and we can discuss your case. Typically, what documents should you take to your interview? Well, first and foremost, you want to take your DS-160 confirmation page. You also want to take your application fee payment receipt. Your passport photo that you uploaded must be also taken with you, and a valid passport. Your passport must be valid for at least 6 months beyond your period of stay in the U.S. Other documents you'll want to carry with you are going to be the purpose of your trip. For example, travel itinerary for places you plan to visit or stay at, conferences you're planning to attend, medical treatment you're receiving, wedding or death in the family, etc. Also, you'll want to carry documentation regarding your intent to depart the U.S. after your brief trip. Things such as an employment letter stating that you're taking a brief vacation for a certain number of days or weeks, or if you're in school, possibly showing your school schedule that you're on break. You'll also want to show your ability to pay for all the costs of your trip. So you can carry documents from such as your bank statements, or if you have someone that is willing to sponsor you on your trip, then an affidavit of support from that individual who is sponsoring you in the US. Things to remember when you're applying for a visitor visa. So a visa applicant must qualify on the basis of their residence and ties to their home country. Also, evidence of your employment or your family ties may be sufficient to show both the purpose of your trip and your intent to return to your home country. These are very crucial, especially when receiving a visitor visa. Also, a letter of invitation or affidavit of support is actually not needed, despite what a lot of people think. Those are not qualifications that are required as part of a visa application for a tourist visa. You can choose to bring a letter of invitation or an affidavit of support to your interview, but remember, since it's not a factor that's used to determine your visa eligibility, it may not even be looked at by the consular officer. What happens at your interview? Well, the consular officer will interview you to determine whether you qualify to receive the visitor visa. They'll ask you things about your ties to your home country, the purpose of your travel, and whether you've traveled before outside of your home country. Your age, your employment, and your family ties will all be relevant during the interview process. The consular officer will also take digital fingerprints at the time of your interview during the application process. So that way they could determine your background checks and whether you qualify to receive a tourist visa to come to the US. After your visa interview is complete, the consular officer can do one of the following things. They may determine that your application still requires further administrative processing, and they'll inform you of that. Or they could approve your visa, and in that case, you'll pay a visa issuance fee, if it's applicable to your nationality, and they'll also make arrangements for you to return for the return of your passport and your visa, or they can deny and refuse to issue you a visitor visa, and the officer will tell you the reasons why. Some of the common grounds that you may be denied a visitor visa are certain things that, common examples that we've seen for visa eligibilities include the visa applicant did not fully complete the visa application or provide all required supporting documentation. It could be that your visa is denied because you did not establish eligibility for the visa category that you're applying for, or that you couldn't overcome the presumption of immigrant intent. You were convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude or a drug violation, or that you have 2 or more criminal convictions for which the total sentence of confinement was 5 years or more. And these related crimes could be whether it was in your home country or committed here in the US. They could also deny you for your visa based on lack of ability to provide adequate financial support in the US because they feel that you might be a public charge. You can also be denied if you've misrepresented a material fact or you've committed fraud to attempt to receive the visa, whether at that moment or in the past, or you've previously remained longer than the authorized stay in the US, or you have past immigration violations such as unauthorized work. So depending on the ground you are being denied, the consular officer will inform you what that ground is, and you'll have the opportunity to either provide further documentation to overcome that ineligibility, or you'll be required to obtain a non-immigrant waiver before a tourist visa will be issued to you. If you or someone you know has been denied or refused a visa based on one of the eligibility categories I listed, then please contact our office at 832-792-3636. Make an appointment and we can discuss your case. A few final notes I'd like to share with you guys is An individual on a visitor visa, B1 or B2, is not permitted to accept employment or to work in the U.S. That means you cannot work, you cannot be paid to work. You can, however, do free volunteer work. Also, there is no guarantee you'll be issued a visa, so do not make final travel plans or buy tickets until you actually have your visa in hand. Another thing to note is that a valid U.S. visa, even in an expired passport, is still valid unless that visa has actually been canceled or revoked. So generally a visa is valid until its expiration date. So if you have a valid visa in your expired passport, you don't have to remove it from your expired passport. Simply carry your new valid passport with your old expired passport that has the valid visa in it, and just travel with both to gain admission into the US. Last but not least, depending on the individual or their nationality, they may be issued a tourist visa with a validity period anywhere from 1 month to 10 years, which could allow for one or multiple entries into the US. Something to be cautious about, though, is that the validity period of your visa is not the same thing as the authorized period of stay in the US. So that means that once you enter the US, CBP or Customs will stamp your passport with the length of authorized stay during your visit. This can be anywhere from 30 days up to a max of 6 months. If you want to stay more than 6 months, you'll definitely need to file for an extension with USCIS before your 6 months of authorized stay expires. So again, even if you have a 10 years or a 5 years visitor visa, the validity period is good for those visas. That means you can travel up for, up to 5 years, multiple entries in and out of the country, or for up to 10 years. But at any given moment, your stay within the US is dictated based on what Customs tells you, and the maximum time in the US in one trip is up to 6 months. Any additional time that you want to stay past the 6 months, you must request the authorized stay to be extended for additional 6 months. But you cannot stay over the 6 months, otherwise you'll be in a period of unauthorized stay. If you guys have any questions related to this topic or any other topic, then please contact our office at 832-792-3636. Make an appointment and we can discuss your case. That concludes another episode of Wednesday Wisdom with Pegah. Thank you guys, and I'll see you for another episode next week of Wednesday Wisdom. Thank you guys and have a good night. Bye-bye.